Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a Scottish mystery thriller film called Marionette. Spoilers ahead, watch out, take care, and wait for the massive plot twist in the end. At the beginning of the film, we are introduced to 10-year-old Manny. He doesn't like to talk to people and often keeps to himself. The only thing Manny is interested in is drawing. He likes to draw dark, obscure pictures of accidents and events. His personality, added with his hobby, makes people think he is a freak. His mother often brings him to therapy to help him overcome an unsaid past trauma. Most therapists think the drawings are just a way for Manny to relieve stress, but it couldn't be further from the truth. The scene cuts to an American woman named Marianne Winter arriving in Scotland. She is an experienced psychiatrist who has come here to start a new life because of an undisclosed tragedy that happened back home. Although in a new place and around new people, Marianne doesn't seem to be hopeful or happy. The first visit she makes is to her workplace, where she is welcomed by a coworker named Moore. The kind lady shows her the counseling room she will be working in. Moore is confused as to why Marianne chose to come to Scotland when she had a much better job back in New York. To cut the conversation short, Marianne simply says that she likes the rain. The facility is short-staffed after their previous psychiatrist was hospitalized for a mental problem. Hence, Marianne only gets a few hours before her first session with the patients. She has 2 sessions that day, but the second one is far more interesting than the first. The patient is Manny, who likes to draw dark, obscure pictures of accidents and events. Most of his drawings depict a pig in place of humans, which Marianne thinks is interesting. She tries making small talk with Manny, but he is busy drawing for half of the session, so she takes a different approach and starts talking about the drawing. For the first time, Manny speaks and claims that no one likes when he talks, so he prefers staying quiet. On being asked why people feel that way, he replies that he can make things happen. Intrigued, Marianne asks him what was the last thing he made happen. To her surprise, he replies, "You." The comment doesn't make sense to the doctor, but she fails to realize that the kid isn't just blabbering. After work, Marianne goes to a bar for a drink. She comes across a man who seems to be interested in her, but doesn't approach her. The man is with a girl who happens to be Marianne's new colleague. She hands Marianne a brochure of a book club she and her guy friend attend, and invites her to join the club. A while later, Marianne is on her way home when she comes across a car crash under a tunnel. The car is on fire, and a man underneath it is injured, but not dead. Marianne wants to help him, but she freezes in shock and cannot move at all. Eventually, it explodes, and the passers-by can do nothing to save the guy. The scene abruptly cuts to the next day. Marianne finds a bunch of Manny's drawings. One of them depicts a car crash, similar to the one she witnessed yesterday, except there is a pig present on the scene. In the next therapy session, she asks the kid if he saw the car crash on the news and remembered it. Manny says that he didn't see anything about the car crash. In fact, he is the one who made it happen. He also adds that he makes everything happen in this world, and if it weren't for him, she wouldn't be here. A confused Marianne looks at him in awe when he claims that there is a gun in her drawer. She dismisses the comment as him just trying to be spooky, and she doesn't bother to check the drawer either. Later that day, the staff of the clinic organize a monthly meeting to talk about their patients. Marianne is told that she is the only person Manny speaks to, and is otherwise always quiet. He refuses to talk to his adoptive mother and his friends as well. Manny was previously treated by a doctor whose position Marianne took in the office. She wants to study the case file from the former doctor, and the administration promises to look into it. In the evening, Marianne goes to the book club she was told about. As a group discussion takes place, the handsome guy from the bar catches her attention. After the discussion, she introduces herself to him. The guy's name is Kieran, and he lives in the same neighborhood as Marianne. The two talk briefly before Marianne gives him a ride to his home. Kieran takes a step forward and invites her in, but Marianne quickly declines. At night, she dreams of the time she was in America with her husband Josh. They were an ideal and happy couple, driving to a cafe one day when their car broke down. They asked for help from a man passing by in his vehicle. Everything was going well until they drove off the road and hit a tree. In the accident, everyone died except for Marianne. The recurring nightmare wakes Marianne, and she goes to the office again to work and get her mind off the dream. To her surprise, she finds a gun in the drawer that Manny was talking about yesterday. Before she can comprehend what is going on, she gets a call from a man asking her to kill him before he kills her. The person cuts the call abruptly, leaving Marianne confused. In the following scene, she meets Kieran and chats with him. The guy owns a boat, so the two decide to sail for fun. He asks her about the wedding ring and finds out about her husband's death. Marianne also reveals that she came to Scotland to run away from all the haunting memories. But so far, it doesn't seem to be working. The next day at work, Marianne tells her boss about the strange call she received yesterday. The man assumes it must be from the former employee of the clinic, McVitie. He was the psychiatrist working on Manny's case before being admitted to a mental asylum for being delusional. Since most of his reports on Manny were affected by his mental health problems, the director refuses to provide his final notes. Still, he provides Marianne with all the background information about the kid. It turns out Manny's father died in a car crash, and his mother committed the unthinkable right after. He was found in his house, severely malnourished and sick. Since then, he has made great progress and is now living with his adoptive mother. Marianne looks at the drawings again and they seem much more disturbing to her after knowing what he has been through. In the following session, Manny asks her if the gun scared her. Marianne is shocked, but she pretends to not know what he is talking about. This angers Manny, and this time he draws a drowning man and writes the name Kieran underneath it. Marianne is in utter shock because she and Kieran had decided to go sailing later today. Moreover, the kid was never told about Kieran. After the session ends, Marianne finds out that the former Dr. McVitie developed an obsession with Manny and used to spend a lot of his time in the library. Out of curiosity, she looks at the book he read and finds a note inside it. It says that Manny's full name, Emmanuel, means God is with us. Later, she visits Manny in his home and asks him how he knew about Kieran. When the kid refuses to reply, she loses her temper, which gives the kid a panic attack. Marianne notices a disturbing drawing he has made and runs away quickly. Then, she goes to meet Kieran for their trip, but he is nowhere to be found. Marianne is already scared about his safety after the drawing of the drowning man Manny showed her. She waits for him in her car for an hour, but he never shows up. After that, she goes to the book club and then to his apartment, both with no results. Upon returning home, she watches the news that says that more than 2,500 people have died in the flood that occurred a few hours ago. She freaks out and goes through Manny's drawings to find a picture of a flood with the number 25 written on top. Manny left out a couple zeros. He's a phony, confirmed. The next day in the office, Marianne is determined to find out more about Manny. She breaks into her boss's office and is seconds away from finding the notes before her boss catches her red-handed. He has also been informed about Marianne's trip to Manny's house. He asks her to take a rest for a few days and return to work with a fresh mind. After that, Marianne goes to the mental asylum to meet McVitie. He yet again asks her to kill Manny before he kills her. Before Marianne can question him further, he leaves. Then, she notices that he was reading a book titled Second Death. It reminds her of one of Manny's drawings where he had depicted a man falling off a building. She realizes something bad is about to happen to McVitie and runs outside. But before she can reach him, he falls off the building, exactly like Manny had predicted. This proves that Manny is not a normal boy, which means Kieran's life is also in danger. Let's be real, Kieran's already dead. Marianne panics and goes to Kieran's boat yet again. She is scared that if Kieran gets on his boat, he will drown and die. Hence, she unmoors the boat away, hoping to keep him from boarding it and hence prevent his death. Then she goes to the clinic and steals all of Manny's drawings from the archive. To her surprise, everything that has happened to her in the past has been vaguely depicted in the drawings, and she is represented as the pig in all of them. One drawing in particular catches her attention, in which a man is asleep on a sinking boat. Marianne realizes that it is Kieran, who was probably asleep on the boat that she unmoored in heavy rainfall. She runs to the site of the boat crash and finds Kieran's dead body being brought out of the waters. She had been manipulated into making Manny's predictions come true. Marianne loses control of herself and abducts Manny after the incident. She points her gun at him, asking him to reveal his true identity. She thinks he is a messenger sent by God to punish her because she is an atheist. They stop at a construction building where Marianne points the gun at Manny and asks him if she is still being controlled by him. Manny, in turn, claims that she was the one who made everything happen. She opened the drawer and the gun appeared, and she was the one who killed Kieran. Having had enough, Marianne shoots the kid dead and commits the unthinkable right after. In the following scene, she is in the hospital after the car crash. When she wakes up, her husband Josh is by her side. It turns out that he survived the crash, and only she was hurt. They return home normally, unaware of everything that happened in Scotland. But in the middle of the night, Marianne wakes up and tells Josh she has been to Scotland before. She thinks it was a dream, but remembers every detail of the visit vividly. She calls the clinic the next day, and hearing her colleague's voice makes it clear that the dream was true. Without informing anyone, she flies to Scotland the next morning and meets her colleagues. However, they don't recognize her. She asks them about Manny, but they do not know him either. Determined to know where he is, she goes to the archive room and finds his files on the ground. All of a sudden, Manny appears from the dark and startles her. He says that he never changed the future or manipulated her. It was her who made his predictions real by looking at the drawings. Marianne takes a chance and looks at the files again and finds a gun inside. She also finds a single drawing that shows her Josh's death, which means she has locked his fate by looking at the picture. She walks outside and screams in frustration before the police arrive and take her to a mental asylum. In the following scene, Manny comes to visit her. Then, something clicks in Marianne's mind. She figures out that Manny needs her to fulfill his predictions. At the same time, Manny is also inside the closet of his house. He is drawing yet another picture in which he is visiting a pig in the hospital, like how he was with Marianne earlier. After that, we see Marianne in a therapy session. She has finally found out the meaning of her life and everything that has been happening to her until now. She knows that she only exists in Manny's mind, which is why he is able to change and manipulate her future. Manny used to be a happy child when his parents were alive. He had everything he wished for in life, but after the horrible death of his parents, he completely turned away from reality. He felt like nothing in his life was in his control, so he started to draw. It turns out that he created a false reality in his art that he had complete control over. Marianne is also a part of this reality and is not a real person. This is why Manny could make her do anything and even send her to the past. Marianne remembers him telling her that he created her. At the time, she couldn't figure out what it meant, but now it is crystal clear. She looks up and says that everything in the universe she is in exists in the mind of a 10-year-old boy. Back in actuality, Manny draws a final picture of a pig, telling the entire truth to a therapist. He finally lets go of the false reality he created in his mind, and simultaneously, the world around Marianne disappears. In the end, we see Manny hug his adoptive mother, accepting the reality of his parents' death. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.